Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my tarot channel. My name is Paulina, and I have a message I want to share with you today. I'm still working on getting a microphone, so please be patient with me for that. I have kind of a lot going on right now, but that will eventually be coming. And if I take a couple of days off here and there, I'll always come back because it's my commitment this year to put more time and energy into this endeavor. And I love routine. It's very calming for me. So this, I guess, is sort of part of my routine. It's part of my routine for myself. But then I feel like sharing these readings is sharing like sort of my process, and not just mental process, but artistic process and spiritual process. And I want to offer that as service to the world. I wanted to mention, there's this really cool thing. I don't know if anyone has heard of it, called Draconic astrology, and it gives you a different take on your astrology, starting from the sign of Aries as a starting point. And it's very different, and it's about your soul's like inner hopes and path, like inner hopes and desires, and like your soul journey and soul path. And I'm gonna put a link for what I think is a good calculator. Right now it's offline, but when it comes back on, I'll put it below. But basically, I learned some things about myself that made me really want to invest in this channel and realize why I want to do this channel, which is an act of service and a job well done. And a skill that I have refined over a long time. I started reading tarot when I was 20, I must have been 23. And so now I'm 38, so that's quite a while. So I'm just going to tune into the energy, and I recommend you choose you check out the Draconic path, because it will show you what your astrology's, your higher soul's intention is, rather than just your ego. But I know this reading probably won't get many views because I'm rambling, but I don't care. I'll put a shorter reading after. And then I'm going to put a longer reading. But some of the energies I'm picking up on, I feel like there's someone around you who is pressuring you, who is not understanding your situation, who is maybe even gaslighting you, or like acting like you should be in a different place than you are, when you're like, I'm doing what I can do. You know, all we can do is do the best we can with what we have. You know, do what you can with what you have from where you are. I have a feeling there's someone in your life who's like, that's not good enough. They have extreme expectations, and any sort of mistake or like mishap you make, they like attack you, especially if it's financial. If there's, you know, say, I don't even know what the situation would be, but something that's like an overdraft fee, or like something that like anyone would have to deal with at times. This person like can't handle, like, that you may not have accounted for that happening. I don't know if you're in a partnership with this person, or if you're like just in a financial partnership, but it could also be like marriage or love. First card I'm getting is Temperance. I feel like you really need to like, you know, think about where both people are coming from in the situation, and also realize that like, I'm actually getting that you might want to just back off entirely from the dynamic, even though it might be really hard logistically right now in your life. Like, do as much as you can to be more autonomous. I'm getting that you're in a place where you don't feel the flow, like creatively, emotionally. You're not feeling like anything is being offered to you. Maybe by people that you're putting energy into, or also maybe creative block. Maybe you're not getting enough rest. It's really hard to be creative when you're not getting enough rest. Yeah, oh, I just got a card of rest. So this is a card of taking time off, taking a break. I think I'll just a break from communicating with this person who's pressuring you, because really it's a reflection of pressure that you're putting on yourself that's ridiculous, and also pressure that someone else is putting on themselves. Like they're showing you how much pressure they put on themselves. And not that those pressures aren't real and don't exist, but it's a time to sort of pull back and sort of like realize that we can just do what we can do. We can make a list of goals. We can complete the tasks that are doable in a day, and we can plan for what we can do tomorrow. And that's really all we can do in every day. We can't make magic happen. The magic is the small details and the small tasks. Okay, we got Justice, sorry. Justice reversed. So I feel like there's a lot of injustice happening in your life, and you're seeing more and more injustice, but I think you're becoming aware of it. You're like realizing that you don't want to see the world that way, like that there is injustice, but you're kind of like, I feel like you don't have the energy to like I'm sensing maybe there's been some things that have been really unjust, and you've been like, I'm gonna sort of turn the other cheek in my life, which is a phrase from the Bible. There's also a phrase in the Bible about, I think it's like building bricks out of sticks or something. It's like building houses out of like nothing, like making something out of nothing. Okay, 2 of Pentacles reversed. You're balancing poorly the material and immaterial responsibilities, and that's not your fault, but I feel like maybe you're in a feast or famine. Like maybe you get money and then you can't save it because you are in a cycle of like needing it immediately once you get it. That's really tough. And you're in a state of suspension in your life. It's really hard. I'm not sure what the situation is. Maybe you're waiting for some answer from someone, for some financial situation change, for something. But it does loop back to this person who's giving you sort of a hard time, who's being tough with you. And I actually feel like there's another person that you are still healing from in your energy that I'm picking up on. This is someone that you were romantically interested in. I don't know if you dated or not, but I'm getting an energy signature of someone very intelligent, the other person, and someone who you felt left out in the dust is the word, or it's the phrase I'm hearing, left out in the cold. You know, another one bites the dust also. This person also may have been a, sort of like an all eyes on me, like maybe they have Leo in their chart in an interesting way, or like even just in the relationship, it was sort of like me first and the gimme gimmes instead of me last and the sherries, which I like better. Yeah, so they were sort of like a center stage kind of person. That's why I mentioned the Draconic chart, because it's so interesting, and you might find that you have like Leo as your Draconic sun, and you're like, oh, that's why I always need to be center stage, because my soul's path and desire is to be front and center. Or you might have, or even just, I always suggest the midpoints, which I think I've brought up in a bunch of my readings, which is seeing, it's a chart that shows you can do progressed midpoint, which would show you like the transits right now, but also just personality midpoint, which would show you like more detailed aspects of your personality that you may not be seeing. Like for me, since we brought up Leo, I have some Leo stuff where it's like I want to be seen, creatively, and that's always been part of my life. In pretty much all forms of art I've done from a young age. Enough about me though. Yeah, this person that you are recovering from, it was like you had feelings for them, and maybe they were younger, or even if they weren't young, they may have felt like the feelings were immature or premature. Like, I'm sensing like an innocence in this person, like maybe they haven't loved that many people in their life, you know? Maybe they've only had like a few lovers, and so it is a big deal for them to show interest in someone. And I think that this person and you ultimately are both after improving your finances right now and finding financial opportunity. And not just that, but sort of the more spiritual part of money. Like, I think you're both looking for something that will spark your energy again and your interest. You both feel a little bit like, I want money, but I want it to be from something I actually like, which is really hard. And you both feel sort of impoverished right now. And I think that's been a major part of why this didn't work out that you're not seeing, or why this person has cut you off or ghosted you or left you in the dust. And I love that song, Another One Bites the Dust by Freddie Mercury. Ooh. Yeah. Judgment reversed. We got this card already. I think you're having trouble seeing the, you're not having a proper judgment is now how I'm reading it, because you were like, okay, this is over, and now you're like in some, I think you may be in a liminal space, which is something that the internet loves to talk about, which is like, or limerence, but it's still liminal space, where you're like, oh, person from the past or relationship from the past, let me like fantasize and like think of the good times, or like project things that this person wasn't. And it's confusing because there may be times when this person did show traits that you are searching for and describing. Maybe they really were compassionate at times. Maybe they really were, if it was a sexual relationship, maybe they really were like caring about your needs, or if it was just friendship, maybe they really were there for you. But then that's not the whole thing. That's why your judgment is off. You're only seeing the good parts. There was sort of an impoverished spirit here. Like, I don't know if both of you were in tough money times, but it's not just that. It's like this person felt like they couldn't give to you. And also, like, you're not their type. Ooh, that's really hard to hear. This person's very image-based. And at first, when they met you, that may have been why they attracted you. You were attractive to them because of the package, you know, what you look like. Have you ever... I'm thinking of that book and movie, He's Just Not That Into You. Oh my god, I freaking love both book and movie, but the book is actually really good. It's written by like columnists who lived in New York and are really good writers, but like it's like just a sleazy like women's self-help book, but it's like so well written in my opinion. I just can devour any book. So He's Just Not That Into You is like, it's kind of what we're talking about here. Like, this person, they are slick, but you are not what they wanted, because they don't have actually the goods. When I was young and I would get upset about boy rejections or anything, or even friend rejections, my mom would say, well, they just don't have the goods. And that means, like, you know, the goods to offer you. Like, do they have a caring heart? Do they have compassion? Do they have listening capability? Are they able to give you the benefit of the doubt? One of my favorite Marilyn Monroe quotes is, if you can't handle me my worst, you sure as hell you don't deserve me at my best. There's the gist of it. It's sort of like, you know, she's a Gemini, so they're temperamental. So she's saying like, I get dysregulated, and she had a horrendous upbringing. So I'm sure, I mean, obviously she died of what people think may be suicide, but whether it was accidental or not, she was obviously in distress enough to take a bunch of pills because she was so stressed. But she was in foster care and had a horrible upbringing, but you know, why am I mentioning her? Because Marilyn Monroe was an artist. Okay, that's why she fits here. Okay, sorry, this is getting to be a longer reading. So, I grew up watching old films and loving old films. I grew up in a family and extended family of people who just like loved film. Okay, so I watched like Diamonds Are Our Girl's Best Friend and like all of it. She is such a skilled actress. She's not just this is why the dynamic fits. Okay, she's beautiful, right? And you are, the person watching, you are very attractive, okay? You are like physically beautiful. But then people didn't expect, people were like, oh, Marilyn Monroe, she's just like a dumbass. I mean, sorry to say that. People were like, she's just a model who got acting jobs. But she actually like really studied acting in New York, like in these studios, and with Lee Strasberg, who was like a famous coach. And like, you know, she really, there's like her writing about like learning to act like a cat, and like she spent like weeks trying to like emulate a cat. She really was an artist, is what I'm saying. Geminis can really be artists because they have Taurus in the 12th house, which Taurus is a sign of the arts. And so, and because of their relationship with the hands and just being good at multiple things, writing. So anyway, this person, it may have been like Marilyn Monroe, like they may have thought one thing about you, like, oh, you're just a pretty face, or you're just, or they maybe saw you one-dimensionally, and then when they got to know you, they actually didn't care for the sort of, I'm hearing sass. I think you have some sass on you. Like, I think this person was looking for a more docile personality to come out of you, and they didn't receive that, and so that wasn't what they wanted. And they felt burdened. They felt burdened by your sass. They felt overwhelmed by your intensity and your willingness to speak up for yourself and for what you felt like was mistreatment. I guess maybe you felt judged by this person. And I think ultimately these cards are very similar. There was a feeling of just like, damned if I do, damned if I don't, indecision, like lack of, you know, not good communication. I think I'm trying to tune into this person's energy and why they so, it seems like they very much rejected you once you weren't what they imagined you would be, like their ideal of either masculine or feminine. Once they realized you were problematic, or like, I'm going to get back to that, she's just not that into you. They felt like betrayal, like deep betrayal from you, and they felt deception. They felt like you were not truthful with your affect, with your personality. But there's more than that there with the deception. They also felt like, that's not it. I'm going to get a closing card because I want to talk about he's just not that into you. Closing card for this reading. What else is there besides the deception? No, it's not that. Closing card for this reading, please, Spirit. Closing card. Okay. Working together. So it was reversed when I picked it up. So this was, you were maybe in a group of people with this person where it was not a good group. And you maybe don't work well with others. Maybe it was the practice in finding out that you don't work well with others, like in general. Maybe you've tried to make it work with a lot of people that like didn't want to make it work with you. And maybe it was like too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, I don't know, maybe they were seeing someone else and you were like feeling energetically that, or maybe you could sense that they were talking to someone else. I sense though that he's just not that into you. I think that whoever this was, boyfriend, person of interest, friend, that you, boundaries were unclear, whatever it was, it sounds like it was like you were projecting some sort of fantasy that you liked them, and there were moments where you did, and then you ultimately weren't what they wanted and you felt rejected. But actually I think that so here's the catch here. In the movie, he's just not that into you. He spends the whole time, Jason Long's character spends the whole time telling, what's her name? Gigi, the girl, I forget her real name, she's a great actress, telling her like the rules of dating and stuff. Like, you don't want to seem too needy. You want to play it cool here. You don't want to be like this. And in telling her how to like not have guys reject her, he like falls in love with her and she falls in love with him. And it's sort of like, why am I saying that? Because I think this person actually really does like you. I think you're just not how they expected, and they did feel shocked, because I think that you put on masks for people, And I think that they were actually like wowed by I'm hearing courage and your power, your energy, your fearlessness. And actually you brought like sudden change into their life, and they brought it into yours. So like this person maybe have come to like teach you sudden change and like to like just like deal with it, because I think they may have like just like kind of cut you off. But I think that with I keep talking about he's just not that into you, like there's times in life where there are people who we trigger them in ways that are damaging, and even though I'm saying this person, I think they do like you, I think what you brought up was like they can't deal with all this stuff, because I think you're so real that you showed them like the real parts, the dysregulated parts, the funny parts, the like tender parts, and they were like, oh my god, this is a full spectrum person. I actually can't handle the depth here. That's actually what happened here. So it's not so much a rejection of you, it's actually someone who can't handle maybe just right now, perhaps not forever, what you bring, and you want to find someone who can handle and meet you there. You might want to watch that movie because it's a great movie. So have a great day.